Hello, friends. Welcome back to Book Demystified. I really hope you're doing well today, because the book we're diving into, Competence by Tomas Chamorro-Premuzic, absolutely shattered something I thought I understood about success. And honestly, it might mess with your head too. We live in this culture that worships confidence. Every self-help guru, every motivational Instagram post, every career advice article tells us the same thing. Believe in yourself more, be more confident, fake it till you make it. But what if we've got it completely backwards? What if the people who seem most confident are actually the ones holding the rest of us back? What if our obsession with self-belief is making us worse at almost everything that matters? I know, it sounds crazy, but stick with me here. Because Chamorro-Premuzic drops some truth bombs that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about confidence and success. Here's the thing that kept me up at night after reading this book. We're living through what might be the most confidence-obsessed era in human history. Think about it. We've got 20-something entrepreneurs on TikTok telling us they're going to disrupt entire industries. We've got people starting podcasts after reading one business book. We've got LinkedIn influencers who've never managed a team giving leadership advice to millions. And we call this confidence. We celebrate it. We aspire to it. But Chamorro-Premuzic, who spent decades studying personality psychology and leadership, presents a disturbing possibility. What we call confidence might actually be incompetence in disguise. The people who are most sure of themselves are often the ones who know the least. And the people who doubt themselves, they might be the ones we should actually be listening to. Let me paint you a picture that'll hit close to home. You're in a meeting at work, and there's always that one person who speaks first, speaks loudest, and speaks with absolute certainty about everything. They never say, "I don't know." They never pause to consider other perspectives. They just radiate this unshakable belief in their own opinions, and somehow they keep getting promoted. Meanwhile, the thoughtful person who asks good questions, who considers multiple angles, who admits when they're uncertain, they're often overlooked, dismissed as lacking executive presence. This is what Chamorro-Premuzic calls the confidence trap. We've created a world where appearing confident matters more than being competent, where self-belief trumps actual ability, where the loudest voice in the room gets mistaken for the smartest. The research he presents is honestly disturbing. Study after study shows that overconfident people are more likely to take excessive risks, make poor decisions, and ignore valuable feedback. They're more likely to overestimate their abilities and underestimate challenges. They're the ones who launch startups without understanding their market, who invest money they can't afford to lose, who make promises they can't keep. And yet somehow, they're also more likely to be seen as leadership material. Think about the last few years in American culture. How many confident leaders have led us into disasters? How many charismatic CEOs have crashed their companies? How many overconfident politicians have made promises they couldn't deliver? We keep falling for the same trick, mistaking confidence for competence, charisma for capability, and self-belief for actual skill. But here's where it gets really interesting, and honestly kind of heartbreaking. Chamorro-Premuzic explains that the people who lack confidence are often the ones who should have more of it. They're the ones who've actually done the work, who understand the complexity of problems, who recognize how much they don't know. Their lack of confidence isn't a character flaw, it's a sign of competence. It's what happens when you actually understand how difficult things really are. You know that imposter syndrome everyone talks about? The feeling that you're not qualified, that you're in over your head, that someone's going to figure out you don't belong? Chamorro-Premuzic suggests that might not be a syndrome at all. It might be accurate self-assessment. The people feeling like imposters might be the ones who actually belong, because they're the ones humble enough to recognize what they don't know and motivated enough to keep learning.
This hit me personally in a way I wasn't expecting. I started thinking about all the times I've held back from opportunities because I didn't feel ready, didn't feel qualified enough, didn't feel confident enough. All the times I've watched less qualified but more confident people walk into roles I was probably better suited for. And I realized I'd been playing by the wrong rules entirely. Hey, if you're enjoying this journey and want to support what we do here at Book Demystified, there are a few simple ways. Subscribe, become a channel member, or grab the book using our affiliate link below. And if you're feeling generous, you can even leave a tip via the thanks button available on the video. Every bit helps us bring you more like this. The book dives deep into the gender dynamics of this confidence gap, and it's honestly infuriating. Women and men with equal abilities often display vastly different levels of confidence, but not for the reasons we think. It's not that women are naturally less confident. It's that they're often more realistic about their abilities and more attuned to feedback. They're less likely to bullshit their way through situations they don't understand. They're more likely to prepare thoroughly, to consider potential problems, to seek input from others. But in a confidence-obsessed culture, these actually valuable traits get labeled as weaknesses. We call it lacking executive presence. We say they need to lean in more, speak up more, believe in themselves more, when the real problem might be that we're rewarding the wrong behaviors entirely. Chamorro-Premuzic tells the story of countless organizations that have promoted confident incompetence over humble experts. Companies led by overconfident CEOs are more likely to make risky acquisitions, over-leveraged bets, and strategic blunders. Countries led by overconfident politicians are more likely to start unnecessary wars, ignore expert advice, and make policies based on ideology rather than evidence. The solution isn't to become less confident if you're naturally humble. It's to recognize that our culture has gotten confidence completely backwards. Real confidence isn't about believing you're always right. It's about being comfortable with uncertainty, willing to admit mistakes, and secure enough in yourself to change your mind when presented with better information. What would happen if we started celebrating intellectual humility instead of overconfidence? What if we rewarded people for saying, "I don't know," when they don't know? What if we valued preparation over charisma, competence over self-belief, wisdom over certainty? The most successful people Chamorro-Premuzic studied weren't the most confident, they were the most curious. They were the ones who asked better questions, sought diverse perspectives, and remained open to being wrong. They had what he calls confident humility, the security to acknowledge their limitations while still taking action despite uncertainty. This doesn't mean we should all become paralyzed by self-doubt. It means we should be suspicious of people who never doubt themselves, and more trusting of people who've done the work to understand how complex the world really is. It means recognizing that the person who speaks with absolute certainty probably doesn't know what they're talking about, while the person asking thoughtful questions might be exactly who we should be listening to. As I finished this book, I couldn't help but think about all the opportunities I've missed because I was waiting to feel confident enough. But maybe the goal isn't to feel confident. Maybe the goal is to act despite uncertainty, to contribute value regardless of how ready I feel, to recognize that competence and confidence don't always go hand in hand. Friends, I hope this changes how you see confidence in your own life. Maybe that voice in your head telling you to be more prepared, more careful, more thoughtful isn't holding you back. Maybe it's your greatest strength. Maybe the world needs fewer people who are absolutely certain and more people who are willing to say, "I'm still learning." Your humility might be your superpower. Thanks for being here. Until next time, stay curious.